The brain is absolutely ridiculous and one of the least understood aspects of the natural kingdom. We don't even understand the brain of a worm, so how on earth are we meant to comprehend our own evolved grey matter? Psychology has only been officially studied for around 130 years and we're still making huge discoveries each year. My mum's a psychologist, so I grew up hearing about all this stuff and really took for granted some of the things I learned. So like any responsible millennial, I decided to start a podcast about it and share the sweet, sweet gift of therapy. I'm sat on the couch with my mum, Sandy. She's a psychologist with over 20 years experience studying and treating clients. Hi, Mum.
Hi.
We're going to release a new episode each week talking about a different aspect of mental health and therapy, and hopefully some of you will find it useful. All of our episodes are going to be uploaded to YouTube if you want to watch us actually sit on our couch in the living room next to the fire. It's nice and warm. It's actually not. My feet are freezing. The link will be in our Instagram bio.
Actually not.
Well, it's quite warm, but my feet are so cold.
Where's your granddad's slippers?
I left them in London. Sorry. We'll be on YouTube, On The Sofa Pod. We'll be on Instagram at On The Sofa Pod. So go give us a follow. Share us with your friends if you learned something. Put us on your stories. Rate us 5 stars on iTunes. Just get us out there. We really think we're doing something good here, don't we? Well, I do anyway. All right. This month we've been talking about why I am like I am, as in why are you like you are. And we've done early childhood attachments, we've done peer-to-peer, we've done romantic attachments and relationships, and this week we're talking about big life milestones, bereavement, cultural changes. This was actually another one of your suggestions here because I wasn't really aware of this. So where are we going today?
So when you reflect back on your life and think of different milestones that you've been through, it's important for you to really inquire, how was I then? How did I get over that? Or did I get over that?
Okay.
So it's just asking yourself some really simple questions. Because what you find, so we've talked a little bit about school life. So a traumatic school life or college and or work life with inappropriate relationships do have massive impacts on you. And we talked a little bit before about how somebody in the workplace was feeling like they did when they were 12.
Yeah, that part of you could be stuck.
Exactly, that's exactly it. So the important thing about the milestones is how you have developed as a result of them, or alternatively, have you stayed in that emotional state? So a lot of people that are bereft, and there was a long time ago a lady that her long-term partner died really suddenly, and this was 2 years after he had died, and she was stuck in complicated grief, is what we call it. She was stuck in a state of almost still in disbelief. So she couldn't get on with her life.
That's horrible.
It's terrible. It's so sad. And she knew that unless she could somehow retrieve some of her life, that she would probably die too. Much earlier than...
So horrible.
I know, and people do.
Before we dig too much more into this, what would you count as a really big life milestone? What kind of things?
Well, there's so many, aren't there?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
So death is
Moving
definitely...
to uni?
Max is here too, everybody. Moving to university. Moving to a big new place.
Definitely.
Without your friends and family.
Yeah. Because think of the ramifications of that in lockdown.
Well, yeah. Big year for it. But so death, moving away.
Moving... I mean, there's a lot of people that move from... in America, state to state, but a lot of people that I've worked with are from Australia, India, lots and lots of different, Africa, lots and lots of different places. And although it might be a move that they wanted, they've all of a sudden they haven't got that close-knit family around them. And remember, any relationship that's close-knit provides an enormous amount of everything.
All the things, all the good stuff
that you need.
Yeah.
So they often find that their work environments are very different. A friend's dad who worked in another country a very long way away, and in A&E, and then he came here, and the contrast was
he just couldn't. He didn't think that the issues that people were coming to A&E with here were relevant at all. And I mean, to some extent, the stories that he were telling, people coming in with paper cuts and stuff, and that does genuinely happen. And then you go to some countries around the world, and people are being stabbed and bricked and stuff. It's the contrast is huge. Must be very difficult.
So there's lots of aspects to the cultural aspects. It's not just I've moved to, let's say, the UK. I'm in a similar job, but it's different with people that are different. It's a whole host of things, isn't it?
So change of environment, change of place, death, anything else that could cause that you'd put under this banner?
I'm just seeing what I put in my notes, but I didn't really put anything like that. Well, divorce. Another big one that people don't really give it much thought, I don't think, is when a family is split up because social services deem that's something that has to go ahead, and siblings are often split up as well. That's very traumatic. And another one is that I'm just thinking off the top of my head here about people that I've seen, that mothers that for whatever reason have left their children, like young, maybe even babies. I'm thinking of two people here, or fathers that have left. This can have devastating ramifications on the children unless there's other massive attachment figures that can fulfill their needs. But it still leaves a blank, doesn't it? There are so many.
Okay, I get the idea. I was just trying to expand on rather. It's not just death.
No, car accidents,
buying a house and getting in debt, things like that.
Yeah, and ABI.
Yeah,
brain injury.
Yeah,
falling off a bike, getting a brain injury.
Okay.
There's so many things. Yeah.
I've got you.
So as I said, the important thing about the milestone is, have I got over it? Did it change me for the better? So analysing yourself about the milestone. Failed relationship.
That's a big one.
Have I got over it?
Am I still acting in ways that are because of that issue that happened?
Yeah.
For example, if you're in a relationship where someone cheated on you constantly, and now you don't trust men, you don't trust women, or you're insecure, is that insecurity coming from that thing? Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to figure that out.
Yeah.
Or sometimes, if it is hard to figure it out, just acknowledging it is healthy.
Oh, I feel quite insecure. Oh, I don't really trust myself in a relationship or whatever.
And also it's about, I mean, some people might think this is a really stupid example, but those chocolate oranges that you both love?
I do love a chocolate orange, to be fair.
And Nick.
Max does have a bit of an addiction.
That all the segments around the thing. I always say to people, that's like a orange ball of trust. And when somebody hurts you, I used to say this to you actually, when you pinched mine, that's taking a segment out when they've done something wrong. And then if they do it again, another segment, until one day there are no segments left.
Yeah.
And they're very hard to replace. I mean, the orange is metaphorically speaking, it's just the visual I'm thinking of. It's very hard to replace that trust. But if you decide to go into a new relationship,
it's not the other person's job to replace those.
It's remembering, okay, this is a new relationship, but I've regained some of those segments, but there's still a few missing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Complete sense.
That's just my way of kind of working through it. Losing a baby, you know, that must be horrific. If a person's stuck in whatever place they're in, that is only going to create more stress for them.
Yeah.
In let's say in their new relationship, or in their different life without their partner, in their different life without their baby that
loved one
stillborn, about the child that got run over on his bike at 7 and died. It creates a lot of stress.
I can't imagine for some of those examples. That's terrible.
And if you're stuck in it, we talked before about cortisol levels. You're living in red in the traffic light system, or high amber, and that's terrible.
Yeah, for sure.
Damaging.
So, for example, when you were talking about the woman who was bereft and couldn't get over this grief, also really, really important to say, grief is a really natural response, and there are stages of grief, and anger and disbelief are all parts of this natural process which you could expect to go through. But if you're aware that, hang on a sec, I'm stuck in denial, I'm stuck in one of these stages, then maybe that's the point at which you might need to go and see somebody to try and get you through that. Or is there anything that you can do to get through that?
I think, I mean, if you go and see there are some really good charities that can help in this area as well, and engaging in, again, education, engaging in reading or podcasts or something on the TV would be a good place to start, because you know that you're stuck. So try and do something about it.
What are things you can do? What helps you? So let's say, for example, I was hit by a car in September. Let's say for me it's not, I'm fine, but let's say that was a big milestone for me, and I recognise that now I'm anxious about going outside or travelling because of that incident. What are some things that I could try and do to sort of get past that incident?
Well, there's a few things. First of all, you would need to do exposure work.
Right.
So go out only maybe a few yards or feet or meters, whatever.
Which is going to feel terrifying for someone.
But before you do that, cognitive behavioural therapy. So you can get a book on CBT. Christina Podesky, she was brilliant. She was when I was training. She had fantastic books out, I think, easy to read. So a CBT would be for your beliefs that you're stuck in. The
self-limiting thing.
Yeah. So we would try and change your belief to change your behaviour. So once we'd worked on your mind, your thoughts, and tried to challenge them so that they're not so fearful, then you could do the behavioural change. So the walking out of the house. It's like this is going to sound really weird, but one of my colleagues years ago, when we were training and we were doing CBT, and for the module you had to tape a real session, not with the client's face, and you had to have their permission obviously, but this one, she had a spider phobia.
Okay, which is really common, arachnophobia.
Yeah. And I'm just laughing thinking about my friend now, because she asked me, because I was quite good at CBT, and she asked me to watch it before she handed it in, and I can't remember everything, but you have to do the same thing with a client like we were just talking about your accident. You have to first of all try and change the beliefs and challenge them and demonstrate how they're very catastrophic. Yes, it did happen, or yes, you are afraid of spiders, but they're not going to hurt you. And she'd done all the spider thing, brought in different spiders, and you could see them through a little
looking glass
thing
or
that
whatever,
she
yeah.
had in. And the woman was really reacting, even though they were in boxes.
She was terrified.
But my friend was so desperate to get through this module. She actually said something to the client like, "Look, they're in boxes!" Because she's frustrated. She's just so frustrated that this isn't working for this woman. And I was like, oh my God, you can't say that. You'll never pass. You'll never pass. But anyway, I don't know, I've gone off at a time.
Did she pass?
No, she didn't pass. She had to do another...
If the therapist shouts at you in your session, probably not the best.
She had to redo all her stuff. But it was much funnier than that at the time, as these situations always are, aren't they?
But exposure therapy does work, even though it feels insurmountably terrifying at the time. Definitely.
You're fearful.
You've got to get back on the horse, as it were.
Yeah. But do little bits at a time. It's like when I had... It's not like, because it wasn't a phobia, but when I had coronavirus and I really did think I was going to die. It's that bad. And I used to say to Mac, because I wouldn't leave the garden because I was so petrified, because you can't breathe. I thought I was going to fall, all those things.
Yeah.
But then each day I say to Max, I'm going to walk to the tree, like outside the house.
10 metres down the road.
And he used to say, where's the tree? Do you remember?
Yeah.
But walking to the tree was a massive thing.
Yeah.
That took 2 weeks, but very fearful.
Yeah. Well, and I think as well, I know someone who it's not the same thing. Their fear is confrontation more so. And it's starting with little things like, if you have a meal and it's wrong, telling the waiter and being like, I'm sorry, being polite, but confronting the waiter about it. And then, you're never going to see this person again, and it doesn't matter how that confrontation goes. And then building that up, and maybe calling your friend out for doing something wrong, and then eventually building up to confronting whoever it is, your parents, about something cool. But you start small and then practice.
And they're good examples. You can practice those in the mirror.
Yeah, even better than starting with a real person. Start with yourself.
Yeah, start with yourself. Practice how you would say it, what kinds of things you would say. Would you use the sandwich technique, for example, which you use quite a lot? So you start off with, sometimes I've noticed with, look, I'm sorry to bring this up. So you're apologising for their error. And then you'll go into so that's positive, then you'll go into the negative, and then you'll finish on a positive. Yeah. So that sandwich technique works really well.
There's actually, you saying that, we've actually discussed most of what we wanted to get through here, but something I really want to do an episode on, or at some point I'll talk about, is NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And there's a great book on that called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Well, that sounded funny, didn't it? Chris Voss. And also he did a masterclass with Masterclass on their website. It's pretty expensive, but it was really worth it. He's an ex-FBI negotiator, and he talks about how, not the sandwich technique per se, but how certain techniques can help you communicate better. Ultimately, that's what you're trying to do. Like, you're not trying to... I've told people about it and they said, oh, that sounds very manipulative, and like you're manipulating people. And it's like, absolutely not. I have something I want to communicate to you, and I feel like if I didn't have these skills, there might be a loss of translation there, or like I wouldn't be able to communicate exactly what I want here. And so you might get frustrated with me, I won't get what I want, you'll leave frustrated, so everyone loses. Whereas if I can communicate in a way that you understand my problem, or you understand what I'm trying to say, you don't feel upset by that, we both get stuff resolved. It's a collaboration more than an argument. But yeah, NLP is fascinating to me, and the sandwich thing is part of that. Definitely.
Yeah, because when you use NLP is very good, but when you use like the sandwich technique, which is really easy, from a neurological perspective, you're opening up the neurology.
Yeah.
So when the negative comes in, it can be internalized as it's spoken and not hopefully not misinterpreted. And then because you're finishing on a positive, you're opening up those neural networks again.
And that's the science which I didn't really understand. But yes, big life milestones can be catastrophic for people, and they can change a lot of your behaviour. But today we've basically learned that if you go back and work out how they've changed your behaviour, and if you
Or stuck.
or like productively learn from them, or maybe you didn't, you can go back and work through that stuff in therapy, or even on your own to some extent, to try and work out where it kind of went off the tracks a bit and get it back on the tracks.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Challenge yourself.
So this month we've covered why you are like you are. Now hopefully you understand a little bit more about maybe some of your little quirks and interesting features and why you have them, and hopefully if you like them then great, and if you don't then maybe you can start resolving some of them. The next month, Mum, which is a big one, we talked about it a lot before the sessions, is confidence and insecurity. So we're going to do 2 weeks on personal insecurities and insecurities in a relationship, how they're different. And then we're going to do a week on self-esteem and a week on confidence and how they're different, because you have the belief that confidence is a skill, whereas self-esteem is an innate thing that you need to work on in a different way. So hopefully come and join us for that. Hopefully you enjoyed these 4 episodes, and we will see you next time. Give us a follow on Instagram @OnTheSofaPod, and we'll see you in a week on Monday. Bye.
Bye.